Do I feel like I'm lecturing you guys? I'm not, right? A week, I didn't eat. I was just drinking water, staying at home with curtains drawn, like kufungwa. No light, no eating, just crying myself to sleep. I was overthinking this thing so bad to the point that I was panicking before the interview. I was shivering and I was feeling cold, yet I was in like a very heavy trench coat during the interview for official purposes. Like the trench coat is very official, but very, very heavy. But I was panicking and I was shivering. And after every interview, friends, have you broken up with your friends that you broke up? Ewo, see, you're going to hit me the blunt object on the head, right?
Welcome to the Perfectly Imperfect podcast, a space for honest conversations about corporate, mental health, relationships, and love and loss. Here we embrace the magic and the mess and remind ourselves that it is okay to be a work in progress. Enjoy!
Hi guys, happy new week and welcome to another episode of Perfectly Imperfect with me, Marcy. I'm so excited that you could tune in today to listen or watch from wherever you are, and I'm really, really grateful that you keep coming back to this podcast. I keep saying that it has never really hit me that people like actually love my content and they actually enjoy my content. So every time I actually sit down and internalize it, it's really just so surreal and it's a full circle moment. So I'm really grateful for you for being here and I hope you're going to have fun. This is season 2, episode 2, and we are in another new set. I know guys, I can explain. I have been set hoping because I'm just trying to find my perfect match for the set, and hopefully we can retain this because I really like it. The team I'm working with loves this actually. Anyway, remember to follow us across our social media platforms, Perfectly Imperfect with Mercy, and my personal handle is Gatweri Morioki. And remember to subscribe, guys. I'm on my knees. Well, I'm not on my knees, but I'm asking you guys to please subscribe to fike at least like 400 subscribers by the time the next episode is dropping. Yeah. All right. So today I'm in studio and I have a guest for another episode and I'm really excited for that episode. I think that's going to be next week's episode, or if it's not next week's, I'm going to tell you. So yeah, stay tuned. I want us to talk about a very heavy topic today on how to properly grieve loss, or how to properly handle loss. And not only loss to do with like death, that's a very significant loss actually, and I have gone through that, but I'm really grateful because I have not really had to grieve someone so close to me, and I know, like, I can only imagine how hard it is or how heavy it is to grieve someone you actually love or someone who's like super close to you. But I want us to shift our minds and handle loss of opportunities or things that we lose because of either we are too shy to go for them, or because we are either being held back by our own thoughts, our own emotions, or things that we think we can't get to because of something that is holding us back. And I'd like us to start by defining grief, and I got this from Google. So grief, according to Google, is deep emotional pain and reaction that we feel after losing someone important to us. All right, that's the first explanation of grief. Why do I feel like I'm lecturing you guys? I'm not, right? Anyway, but also a relationship, job, home, health, or a sense of self-identity. I want us to focus on the job part and the sense of self-identity, because this podcast is all about talking about our experiences with jobs, with corporate, with job searching. That is what I want us to talk about. So I want to start by saying that I am someone who has experienced loss at a very I'd say not really early age, but I lost my friend Sydney. in 2021, and may her soul keep resting in peace. And my early experience with grief was, I could remember, and guys, these things just dawn on me now that it's years later. It doesn't really dawn on me that I was going through an almost depressive episode, because what was happening is that I would never leave the house. I was still in uni, by the way. I didn't go to my classes, I think, for about a week. I didn't eat. I was just drinking water, staying at home with curtains drawn, like kufungwa. No light, no eating, just crying myself to sleep, trying to understand, trying to negotiate with God. Like, why would you take someone at this young age? Like, why would you not let them, live to see the experiences, negotiating with God and bargaining with God. And by the time I actually got to the acceptance part, this thing had eaten like so much, like a bigger chunk of me. By the time I actually came to to internalize and actually like make peace with the fact that I'm not gonna ever see my friend again. And that was one of the most serious depressive episodes I've ever gotten into, and almost depressed. I don't really know whether, I have never really known whether to say I was depressed. So I just say almost depressed, because I read stories about people who have been depressed, and I'm like, at least I wasn't this bad, but I was, close to this place. And that's not the only place. I can tell you guys that I had so many panic attacks. I had so much anxiety, and I was crying so much. If you know me, you know I can cry. I can cry, guys. I recently had something happen to someone very close to me, and I've been crying. I think I've really cried this past week so much. There's a day I cried for 6 hours plus. Yeah, I got a migraine and then I slept, But the panic attacks I used to get, I used to dream about these things. I used to dream about these opportunities. Let me tell you guys a story. And I mentioned this on the previous episode, and I said that there's this job I had envisioned myself even working in this place, and I got a rejection email from them. And I was overthinking this thing so bad, to the point that I was panicking before the interview. I was shivering and I was feeling cold, yet I was in like a very heavy trench coat during the interview for official purposes. Like the trench coat is very official, but very, very heavy. But I was panicking and I was shivering. And after every interview, the interviewers kept telling me, you've done well, you're proceeding to the next stage or to the next step of the application process. And on the last day, on the last assessment, it's almost like I felt I was gonna not get this job. Like I could feel it. I was doing something and I just got this deja vu moment of like, whoa, I think I'm gonna get a rejection email. And I got it. And I'm gonna tell you something in relation to that. So keep note on that. It's about me doubting my capabilities and doubting my second chance at corporate. I was really doubting myself, and I was really asking myself, is corporate really the place for me? Like, what if sina nyota ya corporate? Like, what if I'm supposed to be somewhere else, self-employed, or doing something else, business, entrepreneurship, or something? And I started doubting my capabilities as a person, including the skills I really knew I had from my previous job. Because if there's one thing I'm grateful for, at my previous job, is the skills that it gave me, because it really gave me a footing in even finding like this job that I have right now. So I was even doubting my own skills, like something I know I can do. You see that thing? It's like doubting that you can walk and you have legs. I don't even know how to explain that. Like I was doubting like that I am a good, representative or something like that. And it just got me to a point where I was like, I told myself that if I can overthink the bad things, I can also overthink the good things. Sijui kama inakuingia akilini. Ama nirudie. Yeah, if you can overthink the bad things, you can definitely overthink the good things too, which is one of the lessons that this has taught me. Then something else that I really, this is so hard, guys, for me, is the loss of past friendships. Okay, men can hurt you, but we're used to men hurting you. Have you broke up with your friends? Have you broken up with your friends that you broke up? Ewo, have you broken up with your friends? Like, have you lost a friend that you thought was a good friend? Have you had this friend in campus who you guys have been friends for the longest, or even your childhood friend, and then you get to a season and you guys realize you have nothing in common anymore, you can't relate on a common ground anymore, and you have to lose that friendship. The ghetto, guys, I can't even begin to explain that. And letting go is something that I've really struggled with. But it's just you see this this is very cliche, by the way, but there's this quote that goes like, it says, I have noted it down here, so allow me to read it. It says that outgrowing certain spaces only lets you grow. And it's very cliche, right? Ebu imagine you're handling a heartbreak right now, alafu nikuje na kuambie nikwambie it's because you're growing. See, you're going to hit me the blunt object on the head, right? Exactly. When I was in that space, no one could tell me, like, what do you mean I'm going to grow? I have a rejection email. How am I supposed to grow from here? Like, how am I supposed to pick myself up? By the way, guys, the day I got that rejection email, I cried the entire day. I cried the entire day. My sister was home and she was checking up on me. And alikuwa tu like, Aki, kwani utalia the whole day? I didn't think I would leave the next day after that. But I did. Here I am. But for this, like the friendship part, it's taught me that it's okay for you to be there for your friends. But if you guys are not connecting on the same level anymore, it's okay to just like give each other space. Because I have friends when we don't talk. We don't talk even for a year plus. But they text me, they're like, hey, I have a graduation, or hey, I have a wedding, or hey, I have a baby shower. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool. I'm going to come. Like, count me in, you know. But we don't like necessarily talk kila siku. But my friend, when you tunaongea every day, if you do that to me, just kidding. Kai, who's becoming violent, Sasa? But yeah, anyway, it got to a point where I really have to accept. Some of my friends are getting married. Some of my friends are getting babies. And I'm not going to relate with a mom because I'm not a mommy. I'm not a mama. I'm not a masira. I'm not a mommy. But if this person calls me and says they have their kid's birthday, then I would actually show up. If they tell me they have their kid's graduation, I would go, right? But we don't talk every day. Loss of friendships is so crazy. Imagine if you have like a very close friend and you can't call them anymore. Do you guys have those friends where you call and rant for hours? Now imagine if that just came to a halt. You know, that's crazy. And now, actually, the elephant in this room is grieving opportunities we've lost because we've either been shy, we've doubted ourselves, or either we've let imposter syndrome push us back from actually going for what we want. Hey, James, I hope uko na kitabu. Hey, I'm even surprising myself. Niko karibu ku take notes from my own notes. Anyway, I think most of us know what imposter syndrome is. It's basically the feeling, I'm just gonna like give like how I understand it. It's basically the feeling of like you feeling you don't deserve what you have or the recognition that you have, right? So you get recognized at work because you're agent of the month, but you're still like, no, like why me? Why did they select me? Why did they choose me? You know, why me? And that is what imposter syndrome does. Let me tell you something. When I was still in the job searching space, before I got my previous call center job, I was really applying to so many places. So many places. And if you guys remember, the OGs know I was still uploading episodes of my podcast, audio episodes, because at the time I was just audio on Spotify. I used to record from my bed. That is how sad I was, or my mom will say directionless I was. I used to record from my bed. And I remember the only thing that used to give me joy is recording episodes of my podcast. Just that. I will take my microphone, record, edit and upload, and my day would be okay. So there's this radio, it's like a radio space that gives young podcasters or upcoming podcasters spaces to go and host like a radio show, but relate it to your podcast and talk about something to do with your podcast. And I signed up for this. I signed up for this opportunity. And I got it. They emailed me. They were like, hi, Mercy, we got your request and we're willing to offer you 1 hour session from like 11 to 12 at our space. And then they just told me what was required of me and how I could connect with my fans. Mshainisikia kwa radio? Exactly. Because I didn't go. I didn't go. Imagine. I was feeling so sad. I was feeling so depressed and I couldn't leave the house and I was doubting myself so much at that point. I keep telling you guys, I used to go look at offices and I'm like, yani Mungu, hizi offices zote westi. The Mirage, sijui nimepita sijui nini. I'm like, all these spaces are corporate spaces. Why? Mbona siwezi pata moja hapo? And I didn't go, guys. The day I was to go for that session, I woke up. I broke down like crazy. Because I was doubting myself. I felt like I was not enough. It even got to a point where I felt like my podcast was not enough. Like I was just like, no, I'm not even worthy enough to be live on air, like doing this. So let me just stay. I just cancelled it, imagine. I cancelled it. That was one of the reasons. I doubted myself so much, and I don't think I've ever like forgiven myself for doing that to myself. But the other reason is nilikuwa tuna 500 mbele nyuma. So I was thinking, if I go to Westie, and I don't have any other cash on me right now. So if I go to Westie, record, and then I come back, na kesho nikiitwa interview, what do I go with to the interview? Crazy, right? I'm telling you, when you're in such a space, you don't even think about these things. You don't try to think about like, critically, I would just have thought like, if I don't have this cash, my parents are gonna send me money, or my parents are gonna give me, cash for me to go to this recording. But no, I didn't think about it like that. But anyway, I didn't go. I've never forgiven myself for that. And I don't think I ever will. But I will. Did I just say I don't think I ever will? Wait. I'm a baby girl. I can't be so hard on myself. I will. I'll forgive myself. This is my podcast, and I'm the host. So, in fact, I will forgive myself on second thought. So, here's how I thought about these things now that I am older, now that I am wiser. And I'm saying this as an advice also to someone who's younger than me, to someone who is in such a space that I was right now. Here's what I would have handled these situations better. All these things I'm saying by they are very cliche. I don't have anything new to say. The interpretation may be no different. But first I'd say letting go. Letting go is such a hard thing, but it's so healing. It is super, super healing. It depends on how you let it go. Some people let it go by crying. Have you seen people like write things on ceramic plates and then they just go somewhere and boom, like break the plate, and you assume that everything you've written on that plate, you've let it go. It feels so easy. Some people go to Tigoni and scream, read me, because I have ever done that. And it's so therapeutic. I just went there and screamed my lungs off. So it sounds very cliche, but learning to focus on things you can control instead of things you can't control has been something that I've really learned and continue to learn in the past few months, including in my job. It gets to a point sometimes you do your best, you talk to the customer, you guide them the best way possible, you tell them everything, and they still don't decide to go with your company. They still decide to not use your services, and you've done everything. You can't keep convincing them. So, and this is something you can't control. If you've done your best, you just let it go. And it came to me, it got to a point where I thought to me that holding on to my friend's passing was just selfish, because I'm not going to give a background story, but like she was suffering. She was not like in the best state possible. I had seen her like in much better days. And me thinking that she would have still been here is just me wishing that she would have still been in the same struggle. And I thought that was just so selfish of me, because maybe right now where she is, she's just resting. She's peaceful. She's, out of pain. And this is how I think about most things. I think about the same thing about myself. When I'm overthinking these things, when I'm thinking I'm not good enough, when I'm thinking I'm not doing my best, yet I am, this is just me being selfish, because I can clearly see my work. You can clearly see my work. You can see the work I put in. Everyone can see the work I put in. So why am I still being so selfish by gaslighting myself into thinking that I'm not doing my best? So if it's something I can't control, I let it go. And it's so hard to let go, right? It is so hard to let go. You can tell us, because you've been with that toxic man for 4 years. Oh, una maoni? Okay. Guy, who's this? Guy? Let's take a deep breath. We are all adults. Anyway, that's the first thing. Learning to let go. I'm going to give you guys a story about a recent panic attack I had at work. I made a mistake at work, and it was a slight mistake now that I think about it, and now that it actually passed. And my boss texted me, and they were like, hi, I just want to understand why you did this and this and this. Guys, nearly sweat. I started shaking, and then I started feeling like ni kama nimefinywa hapa. Nilianza kusikia ni kama someone is pressing down my chest. I couldn't function for like 5 minutes, and then I was like, okay, I'm the adult. This is my big girl job, and I have to give my big girl response. So I just replied, and immediately I replied, they were just like, oh, okay, that's okay, no problem. Imagine. And I started overthinking, thinking that, what if I lose my job? What if they fire me? What if they call me for a disciplinary hearing or something like that? It didn't happen. Like, you don't always have to overthink the bad stuff. What if you overthink the good stuff? Imagine that. You wake up today, if you don't have a job, you don't overthink of what you're going to eat tomorrow. And even the Bible says that. The Bible says that you don't even need to worry about what you're going to eat tomorrow. Because birds of the air don't. Imagine, birds of the air, they don't. So why would you, right? So you can also overthink the good stuff. I'm not saying like, unajua kuna overthink the good stuff na kuna kujipea hopes. What I did at the role I'm telling you, I gave myself hope because I had visualized myself working in that laptop. I had visualized myself in this job, That is just giving myself, I'd say, false hope. Overthinking about the good things would have been, even if this job is not for me, I am surely going to get a job that is suitable for my skills and a job that is really, really made for me. And I did not even believe that was true until I landed this client. Before I did that, I had prayed to God so hard. By then, I had stayed for a long time without getting a client. And I had really said, God, I've been from a toxic place and I've been mentally drained. I have been drained kabisa. So I really, really need a good client. And I got one. So you don't necessarily have to visualize the salary even if it's a 3-figure salary. Because unajua ile heartbreak ya kupangia pesa yenye una nitanunua, nitaenda, and then it delays. Yeah, don't do that to yourself because even jobs that happens. Something that happens that I've taught myself is seeking help, asking people for help. And this is something I wouldn't say I struggled with that much, but it's something I didn't used to do kitambo. I realized that I need to talk to someone, a friend, and a mentor, especially when navigating corporate life. I have someone who I can text when things go south. I have someone who I can ask, like, how do we go about this? I have done this, and how do I go about it? So that is something that is really going to help you. Also, therapy. If you can try therapy, I'd really highly advise trying therapy. Get a therapist, someone you can talk to, someone you can try, like someone who can understand you from a neutral point of view and someone who can advise you professionally. Because me siku advise professionally. This is just my view, right? But you can get someone who can advise you in a professional way, who can tell you what to do in certain situations, especially in things like when you get, panic attacks, when your anxiety is bad, when your depression is bad, you just need a professional. Something else is keep trying and pushing yourself. This is also very cliche. Cindy, how do you push yourself? How do you wake up the next day from a rejection? How do you live the next day after a breakup? How do you live the next day after losing someone close to you? How do you even wake up? How does life continue? How does sending CVs continue? How does life continue after you lose your job, after you get ramped down, after you get fired, after your clients pull out from the company? How do you pick yourself up and just dust yourself up? Giving up feels like the easier option. It always sounds like the better option, actually. Let me just stay in bed the whole day. I'll deal with this tomorrow. Let me just not draw the curtains today because I want to have a dark vibe in my room. The next time, you can't pull yourself out of that bed. You're not showering. You're not eating. You're crying yourself to sleep. And then before you even know it, you're depressed. And you're deep in a very, very deep hole that you can't seem to pull yourself out of. So which is easier to deal with? Pushing yourself the day after or staying and sinking? And the thing with depression, it's very gradual. Ni kidogo kidogo tu. You cut off people. People call you, unaanza kusema we ni D&D warrior. Your phone is always on D&D. You're not answering your parents. You're not answering your friends. You're not going to your friends' meetups. Umekaa tu. It's very gradual. Kesho yake, you don't want to eat one meal. The other day, you're skipping 2 meals. The other day, one day is not so bad. 1 week is not so bad. Before you know it, you're going to be in a very, very deep pit that you can't pull yourself out of. For me to pull myself out of this pit that I was in last year at a time like now, sometimes I remember it and I almost feel like crying. For me to actually pull myself out of it, it took so much. It took months. It took weeks, days of me trying, of me being scared not to go back to the same place, of me crying to God and praying, I don't want to go back to this space. I don't want to be here again. Like, I don't want to be here. So I'm telling you, from someone who's had experience, giving up sounds like the better option, but it's not. Just ask yourself, why would you come that far just to give up? You've already applied for 3 places. They've already called you for an interview. This alone shows that you have potential to be somewhere, because these 3 places read your CV, they went through your portfolio, and they thought, we can hire this person. So why would you come that far just to give up? And when I was thinking of coming back to production, by the way, I had considered not coming back on YouTube or coming back to my podcast. But I was like, why would I come this far and then just leave it? Why would I? Because if I hadn't, I don't know by the way, I still don't know what's ahead of me. But am I ever going to find out if I stopped? Would I have, kizungu, ningejua kama singerudi? We, msinisumbwe bana. Mi ni mgeto. Na nilisomea public uni, so, like, I would never have found out. So this is something I would encourage you to do. Just keep pushing yourself, as hard as it is. A simple task, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, and eating. This is something that is going to be a game changer. And then lastly, consistency in doing things you love. Be consistent in things you love. If it's reading, keep reading. If it's swimming, keep swimming. If it's recording a podcast, keep recording. If it's creating content, keep creating. The worst thing you can do to yourself is stop doing things you love. Is to stop doing things you love. Life it'll lose meaning. Kabisa. You won't have nothing to do. You'll wake up, and when you give up on that one thing you really, really love, you'll just live your days. Utakuwa tu na pastime. But your life truly won't have meaning. So, make sure that you're consistent in doing things that you love. And I cannot even begin to explain to you how much coming to the studio on weekends has been a game changer for me in balancing my life and my work. I was literally looking forward to this session. I have not slept. I'm surviving on 0 hours of sleep, but I was really excited naenda set. Niliamka nikiwa nimebambika. I put on a good outfit. Is this good enough? It's just jeans and top. But I was like, I'm putting on an outfit and I'm going to be on set. And life just is worth living. So, all in all, what I'm saying is, do not give up on yourself. You might have these thoughts, you might have doubts, and no one doesn't have, what's going on? Hakuna mtu ananga hizi vitu. It happens to everyone. You're not the first one. So what matters is how you're going to handle these situations. And I hope that these things I've said are going to help you. And I truly, truly, truly hope. My hope for you is that you are going to pull yourself out of that dark place. You're going to still keep applying for that job and keep doing what you love. And in the end, I hope that it pays off for all of us. Yeah. That's it, guys. Manzi, na feeling kama nimewakatia. Anyway, that's all I had for this episode. I hope that this just teaches you how to properly grieve things, not just to get stuck there, and to move forward. Big sister to small sister, or sister to sister, girl to girl, Yeah, so this has been a very heavy episode. I've barely joked. But anyway, remember to subscribe, comment. I read all your comments, by the way. They're very interesting. And follow us across social media. Perfectly Imperfect with Marcy. And I see you guys on the next episode. Bye. Ni simkat. Mbona amkat? Oh. Yay. 3 minutes early.
Yeah.
Who's that girl? It was dope. I almost cried.
Yeah.
Mmesense karibu nilie.
Mimi nilijua time ulianza kuwa emotional with time thoughts zako ziliacha kwa line. You were everywhere.
Nimeanza tu like I'm gonna cry. By then I cry at the slightest inconvenience.